Hey everyone, so let's talk about using the first generation iPad Pro 12.9 here in 2026. This came out near the endish of 2015, so this is around 11 years old. This year will be 11 years old near the end of this year. So this thing is pretty dang old. This is using an A9X chip in it. So again, pretty old. We'll just go through some things we'll be doing on the iPad. So for web browsing, it is pretty decent. Unless you go onto something like Best Buy's website. Best Buy's website is just terrible in general. It just doesn't like to load in very fast on pretty much any device here. But especially on something this old, it just kind of gives you a little bit of issues. Most websites you shouldn't have any real issue with, but if it is a heavier website or just not very well optimized website, again, like Best Buy here, things are going to take a little bit longer to load in. But this is 12.9 inches, which is awesome. Very, very nice big screen real estate. You do have these bezels all around it, but you also do have the home button down there. But like I'm saying, with Best Buy's website, it's going to take a bit to load in. But if we just go to something like Goofle, okay, it auto-corrected me there, which is good. We'll put in here like Best iPads 2026. You also do get this number roll up here, which is awesome for the keyboard. Here, we'll go to like Reddit. Not going to have any issues with that. Most websites you shouldn't have really any issues with, but certain websites like Best Buy's that are just not optimized in general, you might have a bit more issues with. Then let's talk about videos. This is probably one of the best uses for this tablet. Again, this thing is 11 years old, but it is massive and it has quad speakers and they get decently loud and they sound decently good. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on up. So like I said, they get pretty dang loud. They sound actually really good. Again, there's quad speakers. There's 4 of them. They sound good. I have no issues with them at all. And videos that have talking and stuff like that, they're not as loud as they are with the music. They are nice and loud. They do sound good, but not quite as loud as when you have the music going. Then something I just wanted to show off real fast though. Because of the aspect ratio of iPads in general, you do get these big black bars on the bottom. There are other tablets that you do not get as big of a black bar around it, but because, again, iPad's aspect ratio, which is good in some aspects and not others, you kind of get these big bars. Of course, you can zoom to fill, and then you get like that. Just something to mention there. Otherwise, for videos, this is probably one of the best uses for this tablet. Another great use for this tablet is going to be on Roblox. Not all games. I'll show off that in one down here with Roblox, but for Roblox, this thing is still pretty sweet. All the way up, do an arsenal. We're at 40 frames per second. Most maps I've been on will be like 40 to 50 frames per second. You can see up there, it was dipping into the 30s. It kind of depends on the map, but a lot of maps will be in the 40s to 50 frames per second, and it just works fantastically. A few other games I've tried on Roblox, again, max graphics, have had really no issues with them. I think the reason for that is Roblox is actually pretty well, it works very well on iPads, it works very well on iOS devices in general. So this is definitely one spot where this tablet is good. Again, for Roblox, I'll show off Pokemon Unite in just a quick moment here. But Pokemon Unite is a whole different story. So again, it kind of depends on what game you're at. Let's see, we're at 50 frames per second. All right, like I said, Pokemon Unite is a different story here. I'm just going to choose Psyduck because he doesn't, well, I don't have to wait for him to evolve as much. Anyway, that made no sense. But you can see here it loads in pretty quick. This is just a guest account, so it's not my actual account here. As I said, it does load in pretty quick. Frames per second is up top there. But as we'll see, it kind of lies because Psyduck should be moving. And it just does that a lot. You can see this is in low. There you go. There's everything. It is in low. So again, certain games it's not really going to play very well. Other games like Roblox, it's going to play very well. So it kind of depends on the game. But Unite is not one of the good games for it to play on. So in all, this is still a very cool tablet if you ask me. This thing is massive. Again, you do have 12.9-inch display. You do have these big bezels all around it. You do have the Touch ID on the bottom of the home button down there. You do have quad speakers. All that stuff is very cool. I think this is a very good tablet still for Roblox. It has worked pretty well for that. And then for watching videos and stuff like that, especially videos, I would say it's excellent for. Maybe doing something like Duolingo would work just fine as well. But a lot of games are just not going to work that well on this 11-year-old device. Again, the A9X is definitely a bit outdated at this point. You guys let me know what you think, though. Again, I think if you could pick one of these up for like $100, still in great condition for like a kid or something like that, it'd be good. I said Roblox, YouTube, stuff like that. Other games, not as much. You guys let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.